Hello and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, the host and the guide into the world of TSM. Very excited, as TSM are 10-5 heading into this last weekend of play. And there's a lot of things to be excited about with that, but most importantly, it means almost assuredly guaranteed playoffs. Now, looking at, where they are currently, they are in third, even though they're tied with Dignitas because, they lost those weird 2 games to them. Although they beat, now they are tied with Cloud9 in terms of, their record against each other, but they are officially a game behind them. And it'll be really interesting to see, what happens this weekend, because TSM probably have the easiest schedule of the weekend in terms of the top 3 teams. So Cloud9 plays CLG, who is marching to a much better, beat of their own drum. They're a lot better. Then Dignitas and Cloud9 will play each other on Saturday, which is an important game. And then Cloud9 will play Immortals, who will likely be fighting for their playoff lives on Sunday. So that's tough. Again, they have a hungry team in CLG trying to prove themselves. A Dignitas team that's playing for first place in that game more than likely. Well, potentially, I should say. And then they have an Immortals team that will be almost assuredly playing for their playoff lives. Some great games this weekend, by the way. If you have not looked, you should definitely check it out. There's a lot of great stuff. Then for Dignitas, they have Team Liquid on Friday, Cloud9 on Saturday, and then FlyQuest on Sunday. So, they get a little bit of relief on Sunday, but they have 2 pretty big games because Team Liquid's fighting for playoff positioning / potentially their playoff lives. I doubt it, but maybe. And then they got to face Cloud9. That's going to be a really important game, especially if Cloud9 happens to lose to CLG, which, they've been losing a lot lately. So then you look at TSM's schedule, and it's Evil Geniuses Friday, Immortals on Saturday, and then Golden Guardians to finish it out. So, we're going to look at these 3 games as we always do. But just at a first glance, TSM have probably the easiest schedule of the 3 of them, which is great for us. But knowing us, we'll end up losing all 3 games or something, and then we'll be like, holy crap. But, yeah, anyways, so for TSM, 2 wins gives them a chance at first. 3 wins almost assuredly actually gives them the first spot. The only way that they would not be in first if they win all 3 games this weekend is if Dignitas beats Cloud9. Or if Cloud9 wins all 3 games. So I should say assuredly. The more I think about it, not assuredly. But 3 wins gives them a really good shot at first place. It's impossible for Dignitas and Cloud9 to both win all 3 games this weekend. One of them will lose. And in these scenarios, if Cloud9 goes 2-1, the best result for TSM is for them to win out, and then for Cloud9 to win 2 of their 3 games, but lose to Dignitas, and then Dignitas lose one of their games, or maybe to Team Liquid. And if that happens and TSM goes 3-0, then they are sitting right at the top. If there's a 3-way tie, I have no idea how that happens. What happens there? I guess it'll really just depend on if Cloud9 lose to Dignitas. Because if Dignitas I think even ties with Cloud9. Their record against TSM will maybe move them into first. I don't know. But who would have guessed a world where Dignitas is fighting for first place? Holy moly. What a fun LCS season this has been. Anyways, let's head right into it. Evil Geniuses, 3 keys to the game for TSM to come out victoriously. The first one is let Huni contain Impact. He does not have to beat him. So what I mean by that is Impact has been the catalyst for this team. And a lot of teams try to nullify him, or, they'll try to just leave him up there on an island and hope the rest of their team gets ahead. And especially if Impact is given his standard picks, then it can be a bit of a challenge for teams because right now he might be the best player in the LCS, frankly. And if I'm being honest, that shouldn't be a huge surprise. Or not the best player in the LCS, the best top laner in the LCS. Sorry, best top laner in the LCS. And frankly, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. He showed off some pretty impressive skills during the lock-in tournament. And yes, a lot of it was on Renekton, but we all know that he's still pretty strong. He's kind of reminding me of Someday, in years past, where he is just straight up, 1v9ing at times. And that's not always showing up in the score sheet, but, he's generally pretty far ahead of everybody else in lane. And even when he does get, pressured a bunch, he's still able to go in and have a major impact in the game. He has the highest kills in the LCS at his position, and yes, he has died a lot, but again, that's because he gets a supreme amount of focus, but he still has some of the second most assists. Like, he is just a kill participation machine, by far the number 1 player in that regard. His kill share is also the second highest in the league, or third highest, for his team. And most of the time he's coming out ahead in lane. So maybe he's not the best. Sorry, I said that without totally looking at it. But he's been very strong, okay? And he will probably be on my ballot for top 3 top laners in the LCS, which I will reveal my thoughts on my personal ballot, later on in this year, probably next week. I forget when they're going to send them out, but they will send out award, ballots. I will be doing one that's collectively with the Game House, as we do every year, but I will reveal my personal ones on this show, likely next Thursday. So next Thursday's show may be a little bit of a longer one just because we'll have to go through the keys of the game and everything else too. But back to it. The point is I think that if Huni can help contain Impact, then I think the rest of Evil Geniuses will kind of falter. Jizuke makes his mistakes. Svenskeren makes his mistakes. Ignar sometimes could be a little too aggressive at the wrong times. And definitely, while having played, honestly, very well almost all year, will likely, he's not going to carry the game totally by himself. They've been really relying on Impact's consistency. And I think that if TSM can just kind of keep him bottled up, keep him out of fights as much as possible, and that means, potentially pulling out the Huni split push comp that we've been seeing out of them a lot, where he is just making sure that Impact has no relevancy in the fights, then I think a 4v4 goes in the favor of TSM pretty quickly. So I think that's key number 1. Number 2 is that this team is desperate. Okay, when you look at the LCS standings right now, they are just barely holding on to 6th place, which is the cutoff for this, playoffs, the spring playoffs. So that's really important. And they just lost to Immortals, who they probably shouldn't have lost to. And Immortals are creeping up on them. And even if if Evil Geniuses somehow was to lose out and Immortals were to lose out and FlyQuest were to somehow by some miracle win out, then Evil Geniuses are out. I believe FlyQuest is still in. I'd have to take another look. But they're desperate to hold on to their spot. One loss for them and an Immortals win, it's not a good thing for them. They are probably out of the playoffs at that point, which would be an extremely disappointing result for this team considering how well they started off. So, yeah, not good for them. And I think that TSM will need to, take advantage of that. If they play a relatively clean game and they let Immortals make the mistakes and they just capitalize on those. Because Immortals, what I'm saying here is that Immortals will make a mistake or multiple mistakes. They're going to feel the pressure of trying to win this game and push harder to make sure that they get ahead. Because one win and one Immortals loss nearly guarantees them a playoff spot. So this is an important game, especially to get the weekend off on the right foot. So let them make their mistakes. And the last one is focus on letting Lost carry the game. No matter what, they either need to put Lost on Kaiser or Tristana. Let him carry the game. Period. Build a comp around Lost. Because nearly every game that Evil Geniuses have played in, whether it was a win or a loss, the AD carry has gotten fed. And has played very well. And this is not on deftly. It's not that they're necessarily punishing them in lane. It's just the team doesn't seemingly play well around AD carries. Maybe they just kind of forget to dive onto them. I don't know. But there's clearly something that's going on. And I think that it's important for TSM to notice this. Again, if I was in fantasy, right, which I am, and my team is stunk, 2-4, I missed the playoffs, and I started off 2-0 and just lost every straight week after that. My team kind of forgot how to play. Anyways, if I was in fantasy still, and I had a player that was playing Evil Geniuses this weekend at the AD carry position, I would probably start them because that is one game almost guaranteed to go well for them. They seemingly don't dive the AD carries all that well, or they don't get to them in some way, shape, or form, and they allow the AD carries to kind of take over the game. And it's why a lot of their games, even their wins, have been pretty close. So I want TSM to recognize that and be like, all right, Lost, here's the deal. We are giving you all the carry potential, right? Wouldn't surprise me to see something like a Seraphine even out of Power of Evil in this kind of a game. Now, they'd have to watch out for an assassin mid laner from Jizuke, so it might be something that they potentially either let through or take later, but I don't know. Point is, focus on getting Lost very fed, and then I think TSM just kind of win the game. Champions to watch for: Kaiser, both deftly and Lost. Wow, brain totally farted there. And Lost. I have very good records, very good everything on Kaiser. Kaiser's clearly been the best AD carry pick. If she doesn't get banned, I'd be a little surprised. But if TSM have first pick, they're just going to straight up pick her. Again, I don't think teams are going to keep letting her through. I just can't imagine that that's going to happen. But hey, if it does, then it does. And TSM should just straight up take her. Another one to watch for is Renekton. Just ban it. Get it out of here. No Renekton for Impact. Okay, it's clearly his best champion right now. I don't care if Huni's good on it. You don't take the risk because you're probably not going to first pick the Renekton. If Evil Geniuses are smart and TSM plays their bans wrong, then TSM's going to have, and TSM has first pick, right? They're going to have to decide between Kaiser and Renekton. And you don't want to have to pick Renekton there. You want to be able to pick Kaiser there. So when it comes to the picks and bans, the strategy needs to be, leave up Kaiser if you have first pick. Let them ban it. And then they should just straight up ban Renekton first pick. Don't even deal with it. It's just not worth it. As for the last one, because I like to do 3, Alistair. I think Alistar, is a much better champion right now, but I think for TSM, he needs to be available and ready for the Rel because, I doubt TSM are going to ban Rel, and I think EG love to play Rel when she is available, whether Impact or whether Ignar plays her well or not, which he does most of the time. But I'm just saying, whether he's having a good game or not, they or whether he even fits necessarily in the comp, they're going to try to pick her, and I think that Alistar needs to just be ready. So that's a champion that we'll watch for. We saw Sword Art play really well on her not too long ago. So yeah, let's make that happen. So as a recap, for EG, let Huni contain Impact. They're desperate, let them make their own mistakes and capitalize off of them. Focus on letting Lost carry the game. And then the champions to watch for are Kaiser, Renekton, Alistar. Book it. We're moving on. That next game we'll have is Immortals on Saturday, which we will lead off the weekend at 4 p.m. EST, 1 p.m. Pacific, against Immortals. And they will have just been coming off of what's another important game of the weekend, 100 Thieves and Immortals. And, a loss for Immortals in that game really puts them in a tough position. They have to win this game. Like, literally have to win this game if they want to make playoffs at that point. So, do or die game for them. And I think the way that TSM can come out on top of this is they put an aggressive bot lane for Lost Art. Okay? Because the last time they played Immortals, the Pantheon came out and we saw that Sword Art could just absolutely decimate on it. I think for TSM, a bot lane of something like Tristana Alistar again, Tristana Rel. I don't think Leona's really in the meta, but if TSM really felt like it was a good matchup, they could do that. But either way, pick themselves into a very aggressive bot lane. And I think TSM just straight up win this game from there. But there's still other keys. The second one, ban Lilia and just take the Hecarim. Just straight up do it. I don't think Immortals are going to first pick it. I don't think TSM need to first pick it. But either way, Xerxes has played the four-hooved Masters of the Jungle 8 out of his 9 games. Clearly, that is the comfort. Clearly, that is what they want to do. I can't believe teams have taken this long. Maybe they're just not afraid of Lilia. Maybe they're just not afraid of Hecarim. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something on Xerxes. I don't think so. I'll check really quickly to make sure I'm not missing anything in terms of his all-time stats with a champion that he's just really good with. Not seeing much of anything to be fearful of. Maybe he pulls out the Gragas because Gragas has been played and that's his top most played champion of all time. So maybe that. But either way, just get rid of them. Either just get rid of both of them or get rid of one of them and take the other. I personally would prefer Spica on the Hecarim. They, the thing is if Immortals are smart and they've been doing their homework, they'll realize that Spica's pretty dangerous on the horse too. I mean, we saw what happened between him and Lilia in the C9 game. Yeah, he got behind real bad, but then he just came in and kept pushing, came back from an 0-3 to a 3-3-13, and all was Gucci. So, yeah, let's just not deal with it. Either ban them both or ban one and take the other. Again, preferably Hecarim. And then I want to see Dragon Control. I talked a lot about it in my article this week that TSM's Dragon Control has been pretty bad, honestly. They only have a 33% first Dragon rate, which is pretty low for most top tier teams in all the major regions. Only Dignitas, who also have a 33%, are a top 3 team from any of the regions that has lower than 50% first dragon take. And the reason that this is important is because if they take the first one, then in my opinion, TSM have a much higher chance of winning the game overall because they love to give up Drakes for map pressure. And so when they are not having to fight over Drakes and they can punish their opponents by taking everything else, that's great. That's exactly what they want to do. And so, the problem is, though, is when they're on the brink of Dragon Soul for the opponent, they will lose games. FlyQuest game, they lost because of the Dragon Soul. Cloud9, first game. Now, they were getting crushed in that game. But, they because they weren't taking care of Drakes early on, they had no chance to get back in the game. Dignitas loss. First one. Dragon Control bit him in the butt. FlyQuest lost. They gave up the soul and lost the game. The last Dignitas loss. They were fighting over the soul after giving up the third Drake for literally nothing. And they lost the game because they weren't prepared to fight yet. And Dignitas didn't have to worry about getting the Drake. They could get it if they wanted to, but they could set themselves up to more worry about taking the fight. So, and there are games, TSM, they had a full weekend where they gave up Soul and somehow went 2-1. In the TL loss, they gave up, I believe it was Ocean Soul, still went, won 4-2. In the CLG game, they actually gave up the I believe it was the Cloud Soul and the Elder Dragon and still won. And then they lost to FlyQuest. And then they ended up losing to Dignitas because their Dragon Control wasn't very good. Now, it got better in the 100 Thieves game, in the Cloud9 game, but it is still something that they have to work on. And I think this is a great game to do it. And I think if they can control the Drakes, then they will just straight up win this game. So, there we go. Champions to watch for. Kaiser, as we talked about. It would probably be a good one for Lost. I'm happy to put her back on there. She's the strongest AD carry still, in my opinion. Maybe Tristana's challenging her, but either way. Throw her out there. Seraphine, I think, would be a nice pick here for TSM. I kind of liked that comp a lot that they ran, and I think it'd be a good time for them to use it against a pretty good opponent, in Immortals. Not a bad one. And I don't think that, while I think Insanity is better than most people will give him credit for, I also think that he's not going to necessarily punish PoE for being on the Seraphine, so I would like to see it. And then my last one, and you guys know I like to cop out, Rek'Sai or something just new in the jungle. If they're not going to take the Hecarim, then I want to see something new, or the Lilia, or they don't get either of them because one gets picked and they ban the other or whatever. I want to see them bring out something new in the jungle. I think it can be very useful for TSM because it shows a little bit more diversity for Spica, and as long as it's something that is able to affect team fights in the lanes more substantially than things like the Talia, or just at least the way he was playing the Talia, then I think this would be great for them. And I would love to see him on a J4, a Rek'Sai, even a Sejuani. I know how much he doesn't like Sejuani, but whatever. They're in the meta right now. Rek'Sai's been kind of used. We saw Blabber use her to extremely good effect, and I think that TSM should look at her. So, yeah. Plain and simple. Something new in the jungle. Again, I like the EG game, have TSM winning against Immortals as well. Frankly, they're better than all 3 teams they play this weekend, and outside of them just not playing up to their level that they've been playing at or what they are most capable of. Because I feel comfortable saying that after last weekend's great games, this team is a good team. I didn't know if they were winning because other teams were playing badly or, it just felt like other teams were throwing and TSM were taking advantage of that. But now I can confidently say I think TSM are a very good team. I think they are very easily a top 3 team. And I think that by beating Cloud9 in the way that they did, coming back after Cloud9's known for their early games and then just stomping out everybody else. But TSM just have one of the best freaking mid games I've ever seen. And I know Dignitas is rated higher on Oracle's Elixir. I haven't watched their games as extensively, so I can't confirm that. And maybe that's why, TSM and Dignitas don't really mix very well. The hope will be that we don't have to face them first round in the playoffs. I would love for them to have to face like Cloud9 or TL or, just somebody else. So we don't have to deal with that and then get pushed down, straight into EG or Immortals or, again, potentially even TL or 100 Thieves. Don't want to deal with that. Would rather, I guess I'd rather face any of those teams than Dignitas, any other team than Dignitas in the first round. So, yeah, I have them winning. 3 keys to the game: aggressive bot lane for the Lost Art duo, ban Lilia and take Hecarim, or vice versa, or just have neither of them in the game because it pretty much blocks out Xerxes' entire champion pool basically this whole season because Pantheon's not great in the jungle anymore. And have really good dragon control. They need to start showing it now, and I think that in the Immortals game's a good time to do it. Champions to watch: Kaiser, Seraphine, and something new in the jungle like a like a Rek'Sai or a Jarvan. And now we head into the keys of the game for Golden Guardians. At this point, I'm hoping TSM are at least 1-1. If they're 0-2, then this game becomes a little bit more important. Golden Guardians played TSM really hard, and then TSM were like, oh, hey, yeah, we just need to focus their best player, which people will yell at me. I don't care. Niles is still, I believe, their best player. I know he's making a lot of mistakes, but he also has the most pressure. I believe he's also the shot caller on the team. And not only that, but teams are just hyper-focusing him, and the rest of Golden Guardians are not able to do much. I have a lot of confidence. Real quickly, I guess it doesn't matter. I know this is about TSM, but I will say I think the Golden Guardians are doing a pretty good thing. I think their bot lane has been abysmal, and I think that the Niles Iconic and Palafox trio at the top have not been that bad. And I think that they can get a lot better. Specifically, Niles and Palafox, I think, are going to be pretty solid in the future. Anywho, I don't have 3 keys to the game for Golden Guardians because unless if TSM go 0-2 to start, which is possible but unlikely, knocking on wood, it doesn't really matter. This game, in my opinion, becomes focusing on fixing whatever needs to be fixed or trying something very new and completely just, I don't know, some new style or whatever. I don't really care. Because the way I see this game is it's a warm-up / practice game for going into playoffs. And that could mean, and probably should mean more than likely, that this team, tries to focus on that new style that they've been playing and really try to get it down. Specifically, they work on fixing the early game of either style that they've been playing. The late game scaling comp or the early game of the Huni carry split push comp. Either one of those, I don't care. Play one of them and fix what needs to be fixed in them. If they play them the way they have been playing them, then I will be disappointed and been like, well, I'd rather you then had tried something just completely new and out of the box. I think that this is... The Golden Guardians game is a good chance for TSM to just fix and test things, or either or. Because, no offense to anybody on Golden Guardians, but they're just not at the same level as TSM right now. And they probably won't be for a long time. Or at least this split. So I know that Golden Guardians will probably fight like hell because they want to, They want to win their last game before they head into the summer, and they have probably some tough decisions to make once the season is over. But I think for TSM, they need to look at this as, an opportunity to get better, because I think that they win in 9 out of 10 games, no matter what they play. And I guess honestly, I don't know. Every game still technically matters. They're not far enough ahead to where it doesn't matter. But I don't know. It feels like this is a good game for them to just try things out. Because again, when we look at the standings, right? The first game of the week, Dignitas have to face 100 Thieves, who are sliding out of control right now. And who at least as far as I know, we don't know who's going to start for 100 Thieves right now in the mid lane. Is it going to be Damonte? Is it going to be Ryoma? I don't know. I don't even know if they know yet, because Ryoma did not look to be fixing the problems of 100 Thieves last week. Great article written about Damonte, by the way, on the site from Connor Atlas. Go give it a check. Really nice article about role players. I think Damonte should be back in, but we'll see. Either way, I don't know. It's so tough to tell what's going to happen this weekend. League is great in the sense that even the worst teams in the league can somehow and sometimes pull off wins that you just don't expect. I mean, this Dignitas experiment is going so well for them. And again, when it's not TSM playing for them, I'm rooting very hard for Dignitas, because I'm a big proponent of giving NA talent a chance and really trying to kick this stuff about import rules and everything else in the butt. Just be done with it. Don't ruin the freaking game because these owners are like, oh, woe is me. My team isn't good enough to play at a better level, so I just want to use my money to buy them. Especially some of these ones who've just been in the game for, a couple years. I to a certain degree, I get it for somebody like Reggie, maybe Jack, maybe Steve, because they've been in this for, almost a decade. So I get it. I get it to a certain degree for them. They've seen things and they're just like, man, I just don't know. But it's going to take a league-wide effort to fix the NA talent problem. And it's going to take everybody. I have my own solution. Maybe I'll talk about during the offseason. I probably will, honestly. I think that'll probably be a topic of discussion this offseason between the spring and the summer. Which, make sure that you still are listening to the show. I might do 2 shows a week during the break. I don't know for sure. We'll just have to see. I'll keep you all updated on that. I'm leaning towards 1 a week during the break, but if there's a lot to talk about, then maybe. But for now, I want to keep it almost solely about TSM. I have plenty to talk about for the LCS, so maybe I'll make a new show just about the LCS and do TSM once a week, but I don't know. Then I get into the regular season, and that would be a bust. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. You guys let me know. I mean, if you guys are okay with me talking about things other than TSM, or maybe in, relation to TSM, but how everybody else is looking, I can do that. I'd be happy to do that. But you guys will have to let me know what you're thinking. Anyways, getting back to it, I think Golden Guardians is a win no matter what. And then I think at that point, TSM are 3-0. And we will have to have seen how Cloud9 and Team Dignitas did. Because, if Cloud9 are able to take out Dignitas, then TSM gets second, more than likely. Or actually, well, no. If Cloud9 win all 3 games, then no matter what, TSM will be second. If Cloud9 win 2 games, but beat Dignitas, then TSM probably finish first. I believe they finish first. If in the very unlikely But who knows? Scenario happens of TSM actually going 0-3. Ugh, that's a weird thought. If they do, there's a chance they fall all the way down to 6th still. There's a chance. Because all it would take is, well, no, they wouldn't. There's almost no way for them to. Because they hold the tiebreaker over 100 Thieves. Yeah, they hold it over Team Liquid. Because they beat them both games, right? Yeah. And they would be tied with EG. I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, 100 Thieves and Team Liquid would have to win all their games, which at that point, then Cloud9 and Team Dignitas would have lost a lot of games. So, I don't know. I try to play these scenarios in my head. I tried writing them out, at the beginning during the lock-in tournament, and I tried doing it again today, and there's just so many scenarios right now. With 3 games in a weekend, it's kind of tough to figure it out. But I guess, the way I would look at it is there's a thing in baseball called, the magic number, which is, how many games do they need to win to clinch playoffs? Normally, that's what that's used for. In terms of our magic number, I think our magic number is 1. Actually, it's probably 0, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that we're locked at this point. But either way, TSM, they go 3-0. I think they have a good shot at first or second place. If they go 2-1, they're looking somewhere between second and fourth. They go 1-2, I think they're actually still looking kind of in a similar spot, somewhere between second and fourth. And then if they go 0-3, they're looking somewhere between third and sixth. That's my guess. What my prediction is truly is they go 3-0, and I think they're looking somewhere between 1 and 2, which is, to spend the last couple minutes talking about this, absolutely incredible. I mean, that first podcast after week 1, I was very okay with the lock-in tournament because I was like, this is a brand new team, completely new pieces all across the board, right? Only Spica was back from the team. Yes, Spica and Lasse worked together, but it had been a little bit. Yes, Bjergsen and Spica had worked together, but not necessarily in this capacity. I know Spica says, well, it wasn't a huge change. Bjergsen was, basically like a coach last year, but it is still different than what it is because he's not there for him to depend on, right? That synergy that they had as the jungle mid duo is gone. So whether he says that he's used to him being a coach or not, that's fine. But the ability of being on the actual Rift and playing is different. So I don't know. I'm proud of the way this team has come together. I don't know individually that we have a single player who is the best player at their individual position. I know statistically there's not. Not at all. Yet this team has a chance to win the entire LCS, to at least finish the regular season in first place. Let's contemplate that for a second. A team of players, and we were talking about this in the TSM Discord the other day. But a team of TSM players who do not, when we do the all-pro teams, I don't know that I can personally put any single member of TSM in first place as the number 1 player at their role. And yet, there is a chance that this team will finish in first place, at least for the regular season. We'll have to see how playoffs go. That's going to be a different animal. But it's kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy to think about. Because if you had said that after that first podcast, and I might have even mentioned that, if this team really comes together, they can win it. But I predicted them to finish third, behind C9 and TL. Now, TL have had an epic fall. We have no idea what's up with them still. They're figuring their own stuff out. 100 Thieves, I expected to be way better. But I think they got scared after a loss or two and made some bad decisions. Nobody predicted Dignitas. And those are the top 5 teams. And I know Cloud9 are probably the better team. But what we saw on Sunday does not necessarily indicate that. What it indicates is that C9 are a great early game team, and normally they just oppress their opponents into a loss, even if the opponents have a better scaling or whatever, better mid game. But TSM said, nah, man, screw that. We're going to play our game. And they did. And now we are on the precipice of a 3-0 week, potentially putting them in first place. Absolutely incredible. Very proud of this team, to say the least. All right, we head into the last mini section here. Quick update. Proving Grounds for the Academy team has not started. It will start on the 29th at the very end of the month. So nothing really going on for Academy for a little bit. More than likely, they are helping the LCS team get prepared for playoffs and everything else. So nothing really coming out of there. But some bigger news. As of yesterday, our old friend, the man who wanted to go out on top of the LCS, is back. Doublelift has returned as a streamer. And they did the same thing where, they had Spica. This time it was Spica. First time Bjergsen, second time Bio, and the third time they have Spica go and lift up the trash can, and out comes Doublelift, and he throws away his old jersey and puts on the new jersey. It's a meme at this point. It's his third time coming to TSM, second time coming back. And I'm happy to have him. I get it. I know that it probably doesn't mean anything. In all reality, it's probably just because he was sitting there telling Lena, hey, I'm not making as much streaming as I thought. Would you guys be willing to sign me so I could be a content creator for you? And they probably were like, yeah, you've been legendary to our brand. We'd love to have you. Now, they're probably going to make him do things, right? They'll probably make him, come on streams or, do, kind of what Myth was doing. Like, I'd love to see a Myth Doublelift, playoff collab co-stream. That would be so much fun. I would lose my mind. I don't know if I could. I'd have to, watch the game. And then hopefully they would win, and then I would go back or watch the series, I would say. Hopefully they would win the series, and then I could go back and watch Doublelift and Myth doing their thing. It would be so funny. But I'm just glad he's back. It feels right. We lost Bjerg and Doublelift from the team, and Biofrost, and Broken Blade. They were a big part of TSM, at least for me, and I'm sure for a lot of you too. Bjergsen and Doublelift, especially for I know a lot of other people. A lot for me too, obviously. I talked about them in the past and how much I was going to miss them. But signing him and having him back, I think just does something for us as fans. And it just feels right. I think he is going to probably stay as a content creator for probably the rest of his life at this point. I don't see a Doublelift comeback because I think the only teams that he would even look at would be Team Liquid for the memes and then TSM in a more serious way. But both teams have young AD carries that I don't imagine are going anywhere. Lost has been great for us this year. And Tactical, despite his blunders, has been great for TL for the last, full year now. A full year of playing for them. He's been very good. So, yeah, I think he's probably done at this point. And that's okay. And I'm just glad that he's with TSM in some way. I know he won all the championships on TL, and I know his start with CLG, and I know it was he was the big bad guy coming over, the TSM. But we love him. So who cares? I don't give a shit what anybody else out there says in terms of the other teams. Oh, Doublelift's coming to TSM. He was the bad guy on TSM. Whatever. I don't care. We love him here. We love him here. And he's never, I don't know. Not that he's never. I'm sure he talked shit about TSM at some point, and I kind of forgot about it or missed it. Maybe I just have selective memory. But We all know he loves Bjerg, and we all know that he's here, and he's hopefully here to stay. And we just get to enjoy him. So, yay. Double is back. Last big thing of the podcast. My question of the week. Sorry, almost forgot about this. And I want to hear it from you. I want to hear it from you all at any medium, wherever it is. Who is your TSM team MVP of the season? And no, you cannot choose Bjergsen. Period. No Bjergsen. And I want to know why. I'll let you know who mine is next week. I don't know which one yet. I don't know which podcast, but I guess that means you just will have to listen to both. That or it'll be the first one, and then you don't technically have to listen to the second one, but whatever. Who is your TSM team MVP? I have a person in mind for mine. I have two people, actually. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give you guys any hints because I don't want to influence it. So we'll see. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching on our YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Let's continue to make this the #1 TSM podcast on all podcasting platforms. If you feel so inclined, please leave a review, especially if you are listening on Apple. I appreciate that extraordinarily. Please share this with your friends. Check out at TGH Robert Haynes. Give me a follow. At TGH Esports. Give us a follow. And look out for the tweets about TSM. Lastly, head to thegamehouse.com to check out all of our TSM content. I promise I will have more. Just been a little bit of a busy time in my life lately. A little bit stressful, different things happening, but I think things are starting to trend back upwards, so we'll be good. Yeah, but go check it out anyways. Man, I'm doing a lot today. I don't know. In a weird mood, but good one. I like it. With that, thank you for tuning in. This show comes out every Monday and Thursday and is exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. See you on Monday.